Welcome to the Movement Driven Podcast with Dr. Greg Goldberger, where we help you bridge the gap between pain and performance. Each week, we'll share strategies, insights, and real-life applications to help you keep moving and stay driven. Now, let's get into this week's episode of the Movement Driven Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Movement Driven Podcast. I'm Dara here with Dr. Greg. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. What's going on, Dara? How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Awesome.
I cannot believe this is episode 44.
Crazy.
It's wild. Wow, we've just been cranking through these. Lots of great
feels like it.
information for anyone that's listening or our patients or new patients. It's been really fun getting this done. And one of the biggest topics that we continue to come back to, not only because we have a pretty great program for it, but we do live in Northeast Florida. Mm-hmm. And this is something that could be played all year round, along with every other sport, just because we live in, again, the great state of Florida.
That's right.
So we're going to talk about golf. This is a huge topic for us. This is something that, we do a lot in the golf space. Between, the junior classes with Jack's Golf, stuff we do with Coach Mo, and just like you are TPI certified, mm-hmm. And that you're big and big into the golf world. We do stuff with Stillwater as well to just help golfers, not coach them how to play golf, but like help them how to play golf healthier and ways to prevent injuries. So mm-hmm. When someone comes in here and they want to specifically talk golf and they want to get better on their golf game, so they're calling you because you're a TPI specialist with what you do with movement driven physical therapy. What is TPI and why does that matter?
Yeah, so I mean TPI, it's not everything, but it's a really important piece of what we do. So Titleist Performance Institute, which is what TPI stands for, They've been around for years now, and they've brought together chiropractors and physical therapists and personal trainers and a bunch of golf instructors. And what they did was they put together a 16 movement screen that says if you can do these 16 movements really well, that says you have the adequate strength, control, and range of motion that you should be able to swing a golf club as good as anybody else. Like you should have the adequate mobility and the mechanics and everything should be available to you mm-hmm. to master a golf swing. Therefore, like when you slice it, it's not because you early extended because of poor thoracic mobility. It's because you just didn't have the proper mechanics down pat, and that's just a need for more practice. It's right. Not a need to go work on your thoracic mobility. And so what we do is we try to determine what part of the golf game, whether there's an inconsistency in accuracy from certain wedges or from your driver, or you're looking for more distance, whatever is kind of not allowing you to reach your max performance on the golf course. Is it merely just, hey, I'm not doing what my instructor's telling me to, or I can't get in the positions they're telling me to get into to produce consistency and power. And so we kind of operate as a middleman where you're not able to do X, Y, and Z because your left hip internal rotation is crap, or you're not able to contract your glutes at impact, or whatever the reason is. We're able to use the TPI assessment as part of our tool or part of our toolkit to then determine what is the issue and then, develop a plan so that we can implement to get you swinging faster, hitting the ball harder, farther, with more accuracy. So that's kind of the point of TPI, is to kind of give us a framework and develop where out of that we can get to your goals much more easily and efficiently.
Yeah, so for sure it's different than just regular movement assessment, because
for sure.
Like when it's
golf specific.
Yeah,
100%.
When you're coming in here, and you're just getting a regular movement assessment, this is just like for everything in general, mm-hmm. For functional fitness per se. A deadlift is also useful for picking up dog food or picking your kid up off the floor.
Right. Well, and it's useful for a golfer. Yeah. So like the golfer's I'm not only doing TPI. We're looking at all the things we need to look at that 16 movement screen doesn't cover, in my opinion, but it is something that I referred to. So like I said, it's not by any means like all or none, we got to use the TPI, but we're going to use it as part of our toolkit, and then look at all of those. Hey, what's your vert? What's your deadlift like? What's your squat like? We see all your balance components, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So when somebody is coming in here because they want some golf this specific physical therapy, let's just say that they're injured and then that's why they're calling you. What are some of those common golf injuries that you're seeing come in here?
Yeah, I think number one is low back pain. Kind of getting into the hip. We'll throw hip and low back pain into one kind of category because I often think they're feeding off of each other. They usually are. That's definitely the most common thing. And then you get your fair share of golfer's elbow and tennis elbow and things from just overuse and repetitiveness. Get a fair amount of knee stuff, some shoulder stuff, but I would say the spine is definitely the main thing that we're seeing. And and in my older golfers, that tends to be a lot of the same issues. The thoracic spine and the hips are not moving well. They're not able to have good control of their glutes and good awareness of how to coordinate those in simple postures, let alone a very complex posture of the impact zone of a golf swing. So like we're constantly working on, do you have the coordination to associate your body? Do you have the mobility to get into these positions? And then do you have the strength to support these new movement patterns that you're creating? So that's more or less what we're doing. And so when you're coming as a golfer with back pain, we have to set our foundation and make sure we're doing things in, on the treatment table in simplistic form. Can you do these certain movement patterns? But as soon as we can, we're trying to be as golf specific with the movement patterns as we can, and get you strong where it matters most for you, which is on that golf course in the middle of that swing.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I want to point out with this too is like, most of these injuries aren't just because you had a bad swing for one game.
No, yeah. It's years and years. It's always repetitive stress. It's never one thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's like driving a car with poor alignment, Nothing breaks immediately, but eventually something's going to wear out.
You need a whole new everything.
Yeah, exactly. So we just talked about how specifically one of those common injuries is going to be golf pain. But for the person who's listening, who's got the back pain, and they're just like, oh, this is, it's because I play golf.
Right.
Is back pain just a part of golf?
Yeah. So, no, it's not. But let me expand. It's a tough question because in the way I was taught lumbar spine in physical therapy school, it's like the worst things you could do repetitively to a lumbar spine is twist and bend. And golf is a lot of that. And you're doing it quickly and you're doing it forcefully. And so I'll say golf is, in theory, puts a lot of risk to your lumbar spine. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean that you should automatically have back pain. Mm-hmm. But how do you combat that is a lot of stuff we were just talking about in that last, or I was just kind of alluding to. Like, first and foremost, especially if you're 50 plus, especially if you're male, like, you need to get your thoracic spine and your hips moving well, because more likely than not, one, if not both of those areas are not moving well for you. Mm-hmm. So when you're not rotating through your thoracic spine and your hips, which are your main anatomical body parts that are designed to rotate, then the lumbar spine in between is going to get just hit hard. And that repetitiveness into joints that are not designed to do that is going to lead to injuries to those joints or the discs between the vertebrae and things like that. So for those of you out there with low back pain, come and see us. But if you're not going to go get somebody, you better be working on your thoracic mobility and your hip mobility. But also, stretching till you're blue in the face is not going to do anything. You have to combine that with movement and strength and coordination to get back to where you want to be.
Yeah, for sure. So the mobility can either limit the swing or make it better.
Right.
So for the person who, wants more distance, that's going to come from that swing.
Yeah.
So what is the kind of key or the steps for making your distance further?
Well, I think so. If we're talking about mobility, we're talking about thoracic spine and hip, like we've been. It's how are you doing that, right? And so when we talk about golf swing rotation, we're trying to create torque. We're trying to create a whipping effect, and you need both the prerequisite of I need range of motion in these areas, but I also need the ability to dissociate these areas to create that sequencing and that whipping effect, which then kind of goes into how we create more speed.
Right.
So from a mobility standpoint, the first step is get the passive mobility. How do we do that? Prolong holds. Nobody's holding stretches long enough. How long do you stretch if you're trying to lengthen a muscle, Dara? How long?
If I'm stretching.
If you stretch, how long do you hold it?
45 seconds.
No. It should be like 2 minutes according to literature.
Yeah.
Like, so for those of you that are really have some mobility restrictions, if you're just holding for 30, 40 seconds, you're maintaining at most. And you think about it like, okay, so even if you did, so the number's 2 minutes. So even if you did 3 2-minute holds a day, still 23 hours and 54 minutes that you are not stretching that muscle or that area. And so theoretically, you're just getting tighter because you're sitting in your comfortable mid-range.
Right.
And so if you're not stretching to the end ranges, all different directions, a lot more frequently, you're making that face, and everybody at home is making the face too, so you never stretch.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not guilty too, but like, you need to work on the mobility. You need to spend ample time on it. 2-minute holds at least for each stretch that you're doing. Mm-hmm. And then I think what people get wrong too is you need to make sure the joint's moving well before the muscles are moving well. If the joint itself's not moving well, or not doing very specific, isolated stretches for that, then you're just kind of beating a dead horse. So it's all about just staying consistent, staying frequent through mobility, holding it long, and then kind of what we're going to talk about next is how to create more distance. Yeah. And that's what everybody wants to know. And that's kind of going back to what I was alluding to before, kind of got ahead of myself, is that whipping effect. So now you have the requisite mobility. Then theoretically you strengthen into that new mobility. Okay, so now I have range of motion, I have control in the range of motion. What's next? Can I have coordination between multiple joints? I.e., can I move my torso with my pelvis staying still? Can I move my pelvis with my shoulders staying still? Can I move my femur, my thigh bone, with my pelvis staying still? So can I dissociate one body part from the next? Mm-hmm. If I can't do that, then everything moves as a unit, and I start coming over the top. For golfers who are listening, I start early extending because I can't create the separation. So after we have requisite range of motion, strength into new range of motion, control and dissociation, then the whipping effect starts to come. And that's where we get to the end of that backswing. My hands are high where I need them. And that first movement is pelvis, and then torso, and then shoulders, and then hands. So I create a whip to create power and distance off the tee. And that's where a lot of my clients are seeing increase in distance after the first 6 to 8 weeks of working with me, which we're not even starting to really get into true strength gains yet. Yeah. We're maybe just touching that surface. Because it hasn't been a focus yet, right, of true, like, oh, let's get our squat and our deadlift stronger. We haven't gotten there, especially if you come in with a pain or injury. Right. We have to set all of these foundational pieces in place first. But people are already so pleased with the results those first 6 to 8 weeks, because they're hitting it farther, they're hitting it straighter, just because I have more coordination and mobility. Right. Now I start to harness that and start to do some real med ball throws and landmine work and pulley rotational chops and lifts, and like get to some real nitty gritty power rotational movement patterns. Mm-hmm. Now possibilities seem endless because I feel good. I'm moving more coordinated and more free than I have maybe ever before. And then I go to the gym and I feel like I can actually move weight like I was in college. Yeah. And I start hitting it farther than my buddy who's always hit it farther than me. It's like that's what's cool, is when guys come in and are like, oh my God, I'm just crushing it. I played so well. I'm like, hell yeah. Like, put that in the Google review. Exactly. But yeah, that's where it gets fun. But that first part of like, we got to make sure mobility's there. We got to make sure you can fire the glutes the right way. Do you have coordination? Can you dissociate certain bodies? Do you have that kinesthetic awareness to then, now when we unleash these powerful movements in the gym, we feel confident that you're not compensating, not moving through the wrong areas, moving the right muscle groups in the right order, and then we're limiting injury and producing more power all at the same time.
Yep.
And so everything we do comes first and foremost from that PT perspective of injury prevention and rehab. But the best rehab program in the world is the best strengthening program in the world. They're the same thing.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. So in between these, these rounds, when these golfers are making, these longer shots and then everything's going great, what should they do in between, instead of just, maybe
so if they're like on a weekend trip or something, they need to just be on recovery mode. Okay. I think, hey, where am I sore? Get the foam roller out, get the massage gun out, and bring some stuff with you. Nice and relaxing stretches. Doesn't have to be, get mobility, just kind of let me relax the system, and then fire back up with some of the main thing. Like what I always tell people, some of the main rehab exercises we do early on tend to be really good warm-ups, right? Yeah. Like to get the rotator cuff firing, to get the glutes to fire, get some of those rotational muscles to click on, get the brain-body connection going. That's just all kind of maintenance, and that's the stuff that you learn when you're with us. But then I would say in between, like, more spread out rounds, though I played on Saturday, I'm not going to play again for a couple of Saturdays, but it's an important round. Then it's all of that times infinity. But it's like, hey, come and see somebody like us, or come see us if you're local to Jax. We can do dry needling, we can do hands-on mobility, we can do stretching, we can make you feel good, and then continue to update your programming, whether it's, hey, you need more mobility here because we're still lacking, and this is showing in your golf swing, or this is why you're sore here still because we're not moving enough in that hip joint, or you've gotten a little lazy on these hip exercises that were working really well 2 months ago. Let's put these back in your maintenance routine. And so that's what I love working with. I think probably about half of our clientele now is golfers. And so people are seeing me monthly after we've already solved issues for them. And it's a matter of like continuing to progress, continuing to hone in on these areas of your body, and then keep you golfing for the next 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
However long you want to golf. It's the sport to do in your 80s. So let's make sure you're ready for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, Dr. Greg. I think this was a really awesome episode. And for our golfers out there listening, if you've been procrastinating on taking care of that achy back from your swing, give us a call. Go to movementdriven.com, book a free discovery call with Dr. Greg for 15 minutes, and you guys can talk about it and get on the schedule. And then if you listen to this podcast, just let him know that you heard this episode, and we'll give you a $79 eval discounted, so that you can get not only the movement assessment, but you'll get the TPI specific as well. And then start hammering things right off the bat, and go home with some tips and tricks to make you feel good after just one visit. And then keep coming back so you can keep getting stronger and swinging faster and harder. So thanks, Dr. Greg. I think this was a great one, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See you next time, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Movement Driven Podcast with Dr. Greg Goldberger. Want to see how we're helping people in Jacksonville bridge the gap between pain and performance? Head on over to movementdriven.com. Until next time, keep moving, stay driven.